Excellent, excellent. It's my favorite time of the day, and that's going live, baby. Welcome, 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 everybody. Bienvenidos en español. Welcome, everybody, to another amazing Avalanche Live episode. Things are going to get very, very, very nice. We have an excellent discussion plan for you folks with some actual stars in their specific industry. I'm very excited to talk to all of you folks. I'm going to start everything off with just a brief summary. So we're bringing together two pioneering AI projects that are building on top of Avalanche. We have KITE AI here, which is a purpose-built layer one for AI. And we have Orbit here, which is an AI agent DeFi abstraction layer. We're going to dive into why they chose Avalanche, how AI agents and AI industry in general are transforming finance and data economies. And then we're going to talk about what's next for kind of AI powered blockchain applications. So you can expect some dynamic conversation about the future of AI and Web3, industry trends, and its effects on regulators, institutions, and decentralization. I'm your host. My name is Breevy, and today I'm joined by Chi, CEO of KITE AI. Say what's up, my friend.
Hey, bro. Hey, guys. Nice meeting. I'm Chi from Kite.
Hi, Chi. We're also joined by Chris here, co-founder and CPO of Orbit. Say what's up, my friend.
Hey everyone, how you doing? GM.
GM, my friend. Good to have you. Good to have you. I'm also joined by Ryan, co-founder and CEO of Orbit as well. Say what's up, my friend.
Hey everyone, nice to be here.
Hey, we're happy to have you here, my friend. And real quick for everyone out there in the audience, if you would like to participate within the discussion, give topics and all those kind of fun things, go ahead and click on the actual AI post. And then once you do that, you'll see a nice little chat box over to your right that you can go ahead and put any of your questions and comments and all those fun things. Like we got this one from Wakanda Warrior right here who says, hello, hello, Wakanda Warrior. Happy to have you here, my friend. But yeah, so that's how you can participate in the stream. You guys go ahead and do on that, and then I'll try to get your questions answered and get you on in here. But I guess just to start everything off, I'm going to just ask this to my lovely panel of speakers here. Why is AI and crypto, why are they converging now more than ever? I'm gonna pick on Chi first, and then we can She first, and then we can go ahead and spin it around. May or may not be frozen, so I'm gonna pick on Chris.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool, I guess, innovations in AI that enable some really novel experiences to start happening in crypto. I think what you're starting to see is AI delivering more seamless interactions in crypto, whether that be like some cross-chain thing you want to do or some multi-step thing you'd want to do in crypto. You have these like LLMs that can now do what's called function calling. So you have these like supercharged LLMs that can go do things for you. So I think it offers this kind of like cool novel experience, at least in our case, where the users can kind of come in, you meet the user where they're at, in our case, in natural language, and you have these like supercharged LLMs that can do things for the user and abstract away any sort of like blockchain complexity or friction. So I think that's high level what I'll say about that.
And I actually really appreciate you for kind of like bringing those to the forefront specifically. I think that these kind of AI abstraction layer that's being built on top of, let's say, DeFi is going to be absolutely huge for the industry moving forward. I think one of the major complaints, and you know, tell me if I'm wrong about this, if you've ever onboarded a non-crypto user into the industry, one of the complaints is the wild amount of steps that it takes just for a simple swap on chain. If you're not using, like, let's say like a centralized exchange like Coinbase or something like that, it's fairly unforgiving, I would say, is the word I'm going to use, as far as the UX is considered. So it's actually beautiful that now we're kind of seeing this AI abstraction layer get built on top of it to where we can say, hey, Jarvis is the word I'm going to use. Hey, Jarvis, buy me $100 worth of Bitcoin. And then Jarvis goes and
Yeah, no, I think there's also, like, I'm talking more about just kind of the ignorance is bliss approach in using AI to interact with crypto, but there's also like a very cool like educational aspect. We've seen this in some of the DeFi protocols that deploy our agents, where it's like, the user doesn't know anything maybe about the chain, or like they maybe know what like options trading is in Web2, but they don't know what perps are in Web3. So you kind of get this like really great conversion rate and retention rate when the users can kind of go ask this agent some questions and learn more about crypto without having to kind of go source the information themselves. Kind of like lazy web type approach to learning more about blockchain and crypto.
Is that how you kind of see things evolving moving forward? Do you feel like, we're going to use these AI agents more for their learning abilities, or do you feel like it's going to be a hybrid, maybe of all things? Who knows?
Yeah, I think my take is I think gives users the optionality to kind of like learn about things in a way that doesn't impact their ability or objective, versus just like asking the agent to do something. So I think it's kind of like a good helper tool to help with conversions, but it's more of like a self-learning endeavor for users that want to come in and learn about crypto versus like being a necessity in the user workflow to do something in crypto, because the agents will naturally like kind of do step A to Z for the user and abstract away any of those like maybe questions that they need to get from point A to point Z to do whatever it is they'd like to do. And
Actually,
I think Ryan might have some more hot takes on this, but
Oh no, the audio just kind of cut out on me for a second. So I was tilt my head like, did we just dilute? Was it me or was it y'all? Like I didn't know what was going on. So no, that was good. That was good.
Yeah. So one of the things I actually wanted to talk about a little bit about, because I know obviously you folks are builders. Can you talk a little bit about like your decision to build on Avalanche specifically? Why is Avalanche specifically a little bit more ideal for, let's say, AI driven applications? I'm gonna pick on She here now that we got it back.
Oh, guys, finally I can dive in your, like more stable and good Wi-Fi environment.
Excellent.
Awesome. Yeah. So goes back to what makes Avalanche a good place, or like a good infrastructure to build something for AI-driven applications or AI-related workloads. Is a few things. One is, of course, Avalanche has a EM compatible a compatible infrastructure, has one of the most exciting tag structure, building a series of layer ones on its base C-chain. And as we know, essentially take the inspiration from the Cosmos IBC structure. So that's really is making the building a layer one, permissionless layer one, very flexible and very easy on top of that. And also another thing that really when it comes to AI, there's a two thing. One is that when we are saying using blockchain for AI or like using crypto for AI, there's a lot of like AI specific compute structure and data structure that requires some customization and optimization. So again, the tech underlying infra made it very, very customizable for us. And on top of that is, in the end of the day, AI is a technology. It's not, it's a technology that empowering every other industry and every other use cases. So that's require a place where it has a lot of ecosystem use cases. It's need to have a vibrant ecosystem. So in that case, Avalanche has done a really good job that covered different type of verticals, from institutions to DeFi to GameFi, gaming and payments, and so on and so forth. So it's such a great synergy to build AI related solutions like AI agents or models for those different sectors. So yeah.
100% agree with everything that you said, Chi. Especially the part where you talk about like the custom L1s. I think that's absolutely huge for AI agents specifically, is having like this, specialized blockchain just for them. I recently had Pact on, and they were talking about, why limit these AI agents when they're sharing all this, on another chain where they're sharing a bunch of block space with, let's say, like a meme coin that just launched or an NFT project that's just launched. Why do that? Why have this like, hyper efficient model, this extremely performant agent bogged down by the ability to not just have enough block space for it to actually interact the way it wants to? And I think another one of the beautiful things too is all this, the nature of all these interoperable L1s and what that's going to do for the AI agents. Actually, can you talk a little bit about that, Chi? Like, how do you feel like AI agents will interoperate together once kind of there's all these different kind of L1 layers put together? You're on mute.
Awesome. You can hear me right now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. First of all, I think we definitely believe that the future of AI on blockchain isn't just about one chain or subnet. Actually, not even like the AI. I think overall, blockchain is going to be a multi-chain word, and it's very, very important to have the solutions and middlewares to be able to do interpretable operations very easily across chain. So it's about really seamlessly interpretable networks that AI agents can traverse to access data, execute computations, and unlock new services. So for example, in the Avalanche ecosystem, we consider like each layer one or subnet can be tailored for a different type of AI workload. Some might be specialized in storage or data validation, while others focus on high-speed transactions or complex model computations. So interpretability, especially the interpretability capabilities Avalanche supports right now, really allows the AI agents to query and utilize multiple subnets in real time, effectively stitching together a powerful and decentralized AI network.
Oh my God. This is why
Yeah,
this is
can
why I
I
love. Yeah, keep going,
yeah,
keep
can I
going.
share like a one example? So
For
we
sure.
actually have a AI agent from one of our agent subnet partners called KITE AI. So what they can really do now is they could train a model using specialized data feed from another data subnet like Codata, which is another data subnet partner of us. Then it can seamlessly move to another subnet to execute a DeFi trading strategy based on the newly trained model, all without leaving the Avalanche ecosystem, moving away from single agent to multi-agents systems, if you will. And of course, like if they want to do even like cross-chain, cross Avalanche and say Arbitron, they can also do that. So, but to us, very important is how do you have this interpretability, one within the Avalanche ecosystem across those permissionless layer one, and second across Avalanche and other chain ecosystems to build such an AI super network. Yeah.
It's actually very, very, I actually love that you brought that up, actually, because I think this is a perfect time to kind of talk to Chris a little bit about, what you folks are building over at Orbit. Can you talk a little bit, just give like an overview of what you folks are building, and then kind of, we can dive deeper into the details in a bit.
I'll defer to Ryan to get him in the mix.
For sure, for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're essentially building like this DeFi abstraction layer. So kind of, if you will, like a ChatGPT for Web3 to automate on-chain transactions. We have effectively built out a whole bunch of capability to allow agents to create other agents to scale rapidly. And we're leaning heavily into fully autonomous agents to do things on chain for the user. So like an example for that would be like more conservative style, like much more left curve. So like if you are just getting into crypto You can say like what your risk profile is. So are you much more conservative or like on your risk taking, or are you more into like meme coin trading? And kind of based off of this like scale, we can give you autonomous agents to help you do transactions even while you're sleeping, while also giving you the capability to interact directly inside of the chat interface across almost 200 different protocols. So we have a ton of support, and we've really kind of done a lot to make it where the agents can cross coordinate with each other to do complex workflows, to do things like payments or transfers, bridging, whatever it is, swaps, and make it as easy with natural language.
Are we talking like literally like ChatGPT? Can you swap blah 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 for me on blah blah blah?
Yeah. So you can do that. You can do swaps, bridging, staking, lending, borrowing, perps. You can do pretty much everything across crypto, and you can combine it into a more complex flow as well if you'd like. And
That was actually the next question I was going to ask you. Actually, is it just like simple, like, hey, yo, swap this for me, or is it like how complex can the strategies kind of get?
they can get pretty complex. We ran essentially our first version of the product. A lot of it required setup to get complex, but you could do it. You just had to know how to do it. So what we're working on right now is essentially reducing those barriers to entry, reducing that knowledge gap required, or that knowledge essentially required to set up the agents who do complex things for you. So like to trade meme tokens while you're sleeping, or to look at on-chain data to perform a trade. A lot of that required some uplift, but now we're effectively working on it, making it much more based off the user's risk tolerance. So you effectively would onboard and say, oh, I'm a very risky person, or I'm not a very risky person. We would then suggest you agents to help you. And we could do things like, okay, like say you have $100 of like Avalanche. Maybe we could go ahead and automatically, instead of it just sitting there, we can automatically put in a lending protocol so you get a rate of return on that Avalanche. And then when you want to go spend it, you then automatically pop it out of that to then go actually like swap it or buy or do something with it if you want.
Wow, that's like absolutely huge, my friend. I really just I'm super excited about it. For the last few years, I've been talking about how like the UX for DeFi is just not great, like whatsoever. And when we think of the word Web3 versus Web2, right, we see this as the next step in the evolution of this thing. And so if we want this to be the next step, well, then it has to at least be easier for people to use, right? Like if I'm a Web2 user, I'm used to being able to sign in on Google really quick, and then I pretty much can get things going right there. Whereas, now it's sign in on Google and Coinbase, create a MetaMask wallet, send money, figure out how to send money over there, figure out what DeFi applications actually can, help you yield hopefully some return, and like it's a lot for a new user. So I think it's beautiful to talk to folks like you folks who are building this abstraction layer to kind of simplify things. So I would like for one day my mom to be able to use this. So I appreciate you folks. The less complicated we can get this, the better. Maybe even Granny. We'll get Granny in there too.
Yeah, that was actually like our first slogan as a company, is we're building crypto for grandmas. So I think you're right on the money there.
That's absolutely excellent. Actually, we have a question here from Chupista. It is what are the plans for Orbit regarding agent to agent interoperability?
Yeah, so for how our system works right now, there's probably some follow-up question I would have for them on this. But essentially, how our platform works right now is we have like hundreds of agents behind the scenes that work together in a swarm. And we use what we call like a knowledge engine, but it's like effectively like a knowledge graph to be like the Google Maps, if you will, to identify what each protocol does, and we can route between it. When the follow-up question I have for them is like, are they meaning inside of our protocol and like, or inside of our application, what we're building, or is it more about like how we're going to be supporting other agents and monetizing those services, because we've had initiatives come out around that as well. But on that side, we have a whole bunch of things we're working on there, but I don't want to dive in deep in either way if that's not where they're wanting to go.
For sure. We'll wait on Chupista to get back to us with a response. And while we do that, I do want to talk a little bit to Shi about. So I want to know, how does KITE AI help like developers and data modelers? Like, how, I know there's some sort of incentivization structure to help expand out this industry. Can you talk a little bit about that incentivization structure via KITE AI's L1? Oh, you're on mute. Okay.
Yeah. All good now. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So first of all, actually, also what Ryan mentioned. That's why I really like he pointed out about the monetization piece. So that's one of the reasons actually inspired us or drives us to build what we are building at KITE. So a very quick intro or overview about what we are doing is we're building a dedicated sovereign blockchain purpose-built for AI infrastructure and fair attribution, which, by the way, is relevant to the incentive. So our goal is to really ensure that models and agent creators, trainers, and users of those agents, for example, have a transparent and secure way to track attributions, usage rights, and research rewards. So we see a future where the AI models and agents are shared and improved and monetized in a trustless environment, one that properly credits and compensated everyone who contributed to the development of the ecosystem. So in that case, what really we consider important in the end-to-end workflow is from like the data to the model to the agent. Each of those contributors in the process can really have their contributions properly recorded and later on credited when the final solutions have been used by other people.
So can you talk a little bit about how that's achieved? And then also, why that's so, like, what's the current landscape? Why is that extremely important for contributors?
As we all right now observed what happened in the markets since the launch of GP3 in 2022, people start observing the market actually has the open source software and data rates dropped a lot over the past 2 years. What does that mean is a lot of people taking back what they used to put on the market for everybody to publicly use. Because now people start recognizing that what makes, for example, like the AI model really powerful, besides the computation itself, is like the data. And then all your data, it's like let alone end consumers like us who put our comments and our data on the public internet, and a lot of companies will use that. Foundation model companies will use that to train a model. But even like for some of the your like private data or like business data will be sometimes exploited and utilized by the model companies to train the model. So in that case, people start recognizing, oh, actually, it's in some way an infringement of my copyright, of my IP now, because this is actually the lifeblood of AI. Like underlying. So that's why for those people, for example, what we are providing a solution is we call it data DNA. And what does that mean is at each row level, we have a fingerprint to really track the original data from the beginning to when you are doing transformation or utilize the data in other things, like, for example, use that to train a model. We know that it goes into that model. And on top of that is about how you can then have a way to calculate the contribution to the model, for example. Of course, we cannot do in a very, very, like, at this moment, a very exactly accurate about each of the data points importance to the model, because it's very computation intensive and still very early stage of some research. But overall, what we can do is that we can at least track, for example, the portion of the data going to the model where it has been used by people. Then in that case, for example, if the data owner in the beginning have put a price tag on top of that, then you can have a way to kind of like calculate what is the reward should goes back to the person in the future in exchange for the usage of the data when the AI model has been, or like agent has been used, and part of the revenue will goes back to the person, or it goes back to the business who provided this data. So this is one example. Yeah.
So as of right now, current landscape, I'm giving out my data for free. That's just is what it is. KITE AI is creating a model where I could become a data provider, and I can actually get paid based on the usage of the data that I provide for AI models to use. Just trying to summarize it to make sure I got it.
Yes, exactly. So that's why when we talk about like the previous example, like BT using the data from our data subnet Codata, actually Codata also collect a lot of the data from both business partners and individuals. For example, when it comes to like a patient data, that's what we use to train some specialized blood cancer diagnosis model, and using agents to build on top, like do some actions on top of those model. Then in the end, the data contributors in this process, because it's not like one data contributor, it's a lot of individuals plus some businesses, probably like 1,000 individuals plus like 3 businesses or / enterprise have all been involved in this process. Then how do you have a scalable and transparent network to track all those contribution and the rewards the final portion of a proper portion of the revenue when the model / agent being used in the future for monetization is something we consider extremely important, because even in the Web2 world right now, people are running into like for example, the shortage of data, or like the shortage of other essential AI resources to push for the next phase or next stage of models for especially specialized sectors.
When I was reading up on KITE AI, I saw it more so as like it's putting kind of gasoline on top of the fire of AI. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm a contributor right now to kind of these building out these frameworks for AI agents and things of that nature, it's kind of hard for me to get rewarded for my efforts. And you are making it extremely easy for contributors to the entire industry to get rewarded for the amount of work that they're putting in.
Yes, the summary is correct. And that's also why we consider blockchain such a great technology underlying to do this, because blockchain in some way, you can consider it's an immutable database that is really good to design for tracking the provenance and ownership in this process. And actually, that's also relevant to what last week I actually had a panel with a few experts in the Web2 AI world, including the Deputy General Counsel from OpenAI. And I think the whole topic is about the ownership and copyright infringement, which is such a big topic in Web2 as well, from the input to the model to the output of the model. So when it comes, for example, like the image, when you use Sora to generate an image, who should own this? Or should that fully owned by the person who give the prompt to the model, or it's like the person owns some and the model builders own some, and that's a lot of those relevant conversations.
I see. I see. See, these are things that I was not even thinking about, right? Like I just assumed like I put this prompt in, I own it, right? But that's a very interesting question to ask, right? Who actually does own this thing? Is it me that put the prompt in, or is it the company that made the AI agent? Which one is it? But also, I do want to pivot a little bit because I see you piece to put a little bit more clarification to that question. So I want to pivot back over to my friends over at Orbit really quick. And so what are your plans regarding agent-to-agent interoperability, specifically in like supporting other projects?
Yeah, so we have a whole monetization capability there. So you effectively can leverage Orbit as your just like for simple terms, like your finance person for your agentic service. So if you create an agent to book people flights, you can effectively use Orbit to monetize that service. And we have some of this already rolled out. We've had a whole bunch of people sign up for it. We're going through and filtering out those people today. I think we've had like over 300 different agent companies sign up for it, and we're effectively filtering out, early customers who we want to work with. We'll be having quite a bit of a rewrite on how that interacts and works together with V2 launching, because we made a lot of architecture changes with our second version. But that's essentially how we can work from agent to agent. Some people have also asked if we can do some coordination layer there. We definitely can look into that and start looking at how can we coordinate between agentic services in the long run, essentially taking what we have internally for our own agents and then putting it externally. So we're kind of teasing out some of that stuff, but mainly our focus right now is on monetization of those agent services if people want to use Orbit outside of Orbit.
Really quick, can you dive a little bit deep? I know you said something about coordination layer. Can you dive a little bit deeper into what that is?
Yeah, so a major issue is like if you do, say I had like a workflow and I was like, book me a trip to Denver, right? Like I'm trying to go to eat Denver or something. I'm like, book me a trip. Well, I need a flight and I need a hotel room. And then I have my own set preferences. If I want to have that be done, effectively, if there's agents that can help me do that, maybe you have an agent coordinator, which essentially will oversee the project that you're trying to do, like a project manager. And then you would have like a flight agent, and then you'd have like a hotel agent, and maybe a rental car agent or whatever you'd have there. And then each of those agents could then help you do your, effectively get your hotel or your flight and kind of coordinate for it. But each of those agents may charge a fee in itself to help you book that flight or that hotel. So in the future with that, Orbit and how we see it is that crypto will be a necessity for a lot of agentic companies because of micropayments. So you're not going to charge probably, I think it'll be somewhat of a race to the bottom, but the fees essentially associated with the agents will be quite low to help you do things, especially if it's pay per use. So if say it's $1, like, hey, I can, for this whole workflow, it's going to cost me $2.50. Well, crypto is great for that because if I did a credit card, I would either have to have my credit card associated with all three. This would have to be a singular service, or effectively that end user or that merchant or whatever who's supplying the service would effectively get charged out the wazoo. So crypto, I think, becomes a necessity for agents in the future with all this stuff coming out. So I think it's super exciting, but you need something to help coordinate and discover the correct agent to do the booking of the flight or booking of the hotel. So how we work internally is we have built out effectively a knowledge graph, and we have our own discovery engine and our own set of agents. We can effectively turn that externally and identify the correct agents for a user's workflow and then help monetize those services in between. So we've kind of teased out some of this stuff. Our main focus is mainly on the monetization part, which I think that'll be the first stage. And then the next will probably be coordination layer next. But yeah, that's kind of some of our thoughts around that.
Yo, like this is unbelievable. Like that's so absolutely important. I never even thought about that. So you've essentially created this project manager agent that can then say, hey, you need to book a trip to Barcelona. So you're going to need to talk to an agent over at Delta Airlines. You're going to need to talk to an agent over at Airbnb. You're probably going to, if you want to go see a concert, you're going to need to talk to a Ticketmaster agent. And we're going to go ahead and coordinate all this stuff for you. All you need to do is just put into it like, hey, I want to take a trip to Barcelona. I want to book my hotel, blah, blah, blah. And you say all that to the agent and it does everything for you. Dude, that's insane. Sorry. Sometimes I got to break the interview character and just really realize the beauty of everything that is getting created. Like this is absolutely huge, man. I can't even say it enough. But I do want to talk a little bit. I'm going to pivot one more time again. I do want to talk a little bit about the importance of decentralization kind of in this specific industry. A lot has come out with OpenAI. We don't got to go too in depth with everything, but can we as a panel just talk about why it is important that we kind of decentralize all these kind of different aspects of AI? Shi, I'm going to pick on you first, but Ryan, Chris, feel free to jump in wherever you feel free to.
Yeah, I honestly speaking, I think there's already probably a lot of people talked about the from their perspective why I at least it cannot be just owned or purely curated by centralized entities. So I might just repeating some of the things people have heard before, but to me it's really really important in this manner. So one is, of course, about the a decentralized AI. To me is really about one democratization. So it sounds a little bit cliche, but that's honestly to me what makes me feel excited about a lot of the AI tools 10 years ago. So my background come from AI. I did my PhD in machine learning from UC Berkeley. And the first AI startup that I was a founding member at was an automated machine learning platform company. So at the time, it's called democratizing AI for citizen data scientists. So essentially at the time, it's about helping developers who are like data, like say analysts, to be easily build machine learning model without learning the details. And we have an infrastructure underlying to help you. For example, we talked about this. We talked about the DeFi use cases, like let's say trading strategy use cases. What we will do in the end is we will help you train 1,000 model underlying together. And then there's some metrics to help you select the top 3 or even like the top 1. So to me, at that time, it's about democratizing AI technology for more people to be able to use it. But right now, over the past 3 years, to me, I think it's really about how potentially we can democratize access to AI resources. Because the problem when it comes to AI, well, I think DeepSeek has shaken the industry a bit, but before the DeepSeek moment, people were like, "Oh my God, it's going to take billions of dollars to train AI models, and who have the resources to purchase all those GPU or even like build like the data center and GPU clusters, super clusters, like what X and XAI has the money, for example, and OpenAI has the money, but not that many people. So that's why, to me, I think like now a lot of ways, even for us, if you think about one way we're thinking about monetizing AI assets is to help those people like you and me and model developers who upload and publish a lot of their models on Hugging Face, for example, but don't get any rewards in this process. And the Ryan, what they're doing is helping the agent providers to have an easier way to tap into the market needs, and because they can help them almost like intelligently find those demand, and then when your agent got used, you got paid. So to me, that's on the one side. But on the other side, if you think about that, it's really also helping people to have a better way to democratize accessing to those assets. Because in our vision, or in our, we hope what we can achieve with KITE, for example, is then instead of the model developers, for example, need to pay, or agent developers need to pay the model developers, or like data providers right away when they purchase the data or like model to build some other final solutions, they can tap into that. They can in exchange that for the future revenue of that, because now your ownership and provenance has all been tracked in this process. So in that way, to us, we consider it's really a better method to democratize the access to, let's say, data or like a compute even. And then on top of that, another thing I think besides democratization, important thing about why we need decentralization is what we talked before, like the ownership. There are just tons of, for example, like trillions of data points has been that's like AI token metrics that has been used from the public internet to train the model, but none of anybody who contributed to that earned anything in this process. Of course, everybody gets some benefits from AI, because now think about how many people are using Open ChatGPT, or now DeepSeek V3. It's for free. Everybody can, if you have some technical background, you can use that, download that like almost locally and do that. So that to me, it's another thing. Decentralized AI can really help on the ownership and really help us to shape
the future of AI economy and AI GDP. Yeah.
Also, one thing I also really want to point out is Kite specifically is kind of democratizing kind of builder access as well. Like now you have this ability for all these independent builders to actually receive um, some sort of yield for their efforts for contributing, thus making it so that they have more incentivization to continue to build or actually start building. So I just wanted to like point that out, spotlight that really quick because we really, really appreciate what you're building over there at Kite. And I'm going to go ahead and open the floor for Chris and Ryan. If you folks can talk a little bit about the importance of decentralization for the industry.
I think I might take a little bit different tack than she, but I think it gives builders and users optionality. From the builder perspective, it gives them, especially folks that don't have large capex, the possibility to kind of go in and solve the last mile problem for like niche specific use cases. And there's a number of ways you can do that. So I think that's pretty beneficial. I think on the user side, I think we're seeing a lot of, I think it gives users the optionality to have like a censorship resistant interface that they can interact with without the model provider being prescriptive about what it is that can or cannot be displayed to the user from model outputs. So I kind of look at it from more of like a psychological standpoint, from like providing users an optimal user experience. And then on the builder side, like what can we do with like democratization of open models versus like some closed source model that I have to go use.
So you're more so approaching it. I like the psychological perspective that you approached it from, Chris, because based on the data that these models are getting trained on, they can have certain what's the word I want to use here? They're going to think a certain way is the phrase I'm going to use here.
Right. And there's obviously a fine balance between just like offering a service that just does not provide users with like degenerate outputs.
Yeah.
But like you want to give users probably the choice at the end of the day. So that's the way I think about it.
No, I appreciate you for even kind of going that route. I didn't even think that route was going to even come out of this conversation. So I really appreciate you for bringing that to the forefront because it's important to highlight that specifically. Also, I want to give Ryan the floor too as well, man. You got any thoughts on why it's kind of important for decentralization in AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think on my side, kind of similar to Chris, although I do think data access and is extremely important. I think like really to me, how I kind of think about it is that the underlying philosophy around open source is really kind of a large column, if you will, in why you want to have decentralized AI. It's like you want additional access, additional and openness to what you're building. I think that there is some part of it that is censorship resistant. I'm sure we'll have some things as society going forward where some of that may be interesting. Like, if you can ask this super knowledgeable thing anything, do you really want to have it be like that? I think in some aspect, yes. But there are some problems that could come and arise with that. So we'll probably figure out some strategy with that. But I think it's extremely important to have that to enable people to have choice. And it's not just a choice of 3 options, but a choice of hundreds of options. And then have them be fine-tuned to do multiple different things. Open source is also extremely powerful because if you say like only OpenAI was available, then when people do like really good data services like KITE AI, you effectively are limited in how you can adopt that data into that model. And so the innovations, the pace of innovation, I think, is also kind of thwarted. It's kind of it's not going to have as steep of an acceleration curve. So I think all this is extremely important. And what we've seen with like DeepSeek and quite a few other models that have been coming out more recently that are open source is that it used to be, I think it was like 6 to 12 months behind. Now it's probably 3 to 6 months behind, if that. And I mean, I think in the last 2 weeks, we've had 3 or 4 new models come out. I think today's rumor is GPT 4.5 is coming out, so just like the pace of innovation is crazy. But also, like, I remember when DeepSeek came out, someone used DeepSeek to look at DeepSeek's code and enhance DeepSeek, and they actually made it 50% more performant. So it's like, I think we're going to start seeing like some crazy things like that, where the models are used to enhance the models. And then you're going to have, and if it's open, if it's out in the open, you actually breed a lot of competition, which ends up being better for the consumer, all of us here, and agent creators and other providers. And you can use those as building bricks or foundational blocks to build out your own service, which I think is going to be really powerful. So if we have specialized model future, or we have a very general model future, or smaller models, whatever it may be, I think all this is extremely important. And I think it's more or less like democratization of access that I get really excited about.
Yeah, I think the cost compression bit is super important. Like, I think when we started building at the intersection of crypto and AI in like late 2023, like, and then we're kind of looking at model costs, hosted model costs, and otherwise now it's like, what is it, Ryan? Like, things have compressed like to like 1/10 the cost, and that was even before DeepSeek came out. Is going to like probably force people much lower.
Yeah, it was 100x,
which is crazy.
Dude,
so like that just makes it so much easier for like anybody in the world to start building with these models, which is great.
Right, and to the DeepSeek point, the cool thing is that, like, I think DeepSeek was a combination of multiple people's research and different firms' research that got to be kind of thrown into their own model, which is really awesome. So, like, if I understood correctly, it's like DeepSeek employed like a mixture of experts approach, which I believe Mistral was a large original candidate of creating that and bringing that to market in one of their first models. But DeepSeek took that to a much more extreme. I think they have like 256 different experts instead of 8. And then they have a smaller amount of active parameters than the total size, which also allows you to run it on much smaller hardware. But I think all of this is going to approach what's called like Jevons paradox. So the cheaper a utility gets, the more you use it. So all this, I think, is just compounding and really exciting for AI in general. And I mean, today's a big day because NVIDIA reports earnings. So we're going to see how much does that impact and all this stuff. It's going to be, fingers crossed. But I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I mean, you're seeing it from every company, from ADP. I saw a commercial from them the other day. They're announcing some AI products. Salesforce has their agent force, which is really big. Microsoft and Salesforce are kind of going at it right now from a large company standpoint on effectively. Salesforce says, they're the new Microsoft Clippy, and Microsoft says, oh no, like, you're not going to replace us. Copilot, like, their product is actually going to do a lot of Salesforce's products. And you're just like, I think it's going to be wild, but I'm super excited. I think open source is a big piece of that.
You
Can I add something? Yeah. First of all, I really, love the some of the data points Ryan shared there. So one thing, but can I share something on top of that, which we sometimes are, like, even internally joking about what the machine learning or like AI researchers like us should do when a lot of things was more about on the engineering side of the thing. Like, so since, for example, about LLM, really since the launch of the transformer paper, especially in 2017 about SDPA transformer, and then 18, 19 is like the high frequency transformer. That's it. Like, no more real theoretical framework change that much. Everything now it's about engineering, how you can engineer it to the maximum level to reduce, for example, the inference cost, and what DeepSeek even did. What they did is, like, instead of using H100, because DeepSeek is a company from China, and China was kind of not allowed to get the most advanced NVIDIA chips because of some
the national level decision. So then what they have to do is really figure out a way to run the model in the most efficient way in the H800, which is a way less advanced than H100. And then what they did is they even need to optimize the code at the ensemble code level. And while like at H800, for example, have only 50% of the bandwidth, network bandwidth compared to H100. So in that sense, that's also why now to us, also we felt super excited for the open source community, because once we have like seen all those like engineer optimization further been down, the cost and interest level, the interest curve into the most advanced model will be absolutely not the same level as the hardness as what we saw last year.
Actually, just because I come from the perspective of a non-dev, I apologize, folks. But can you talk a little bit about the impact that having, like, let's say, like having the processing power by like 50%? Like, what kind of impact does that have for a developer? Like, why does that matter so much?
Ryan, you want to go first? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go first. So for that means, of course, one for the real developers, it's already something that you can almost run at home. So DeepSeek right now, what the V3 can allow you to run on a chip that's $6,000, and you can further do what we call distillation to shrink the model size. And in that way, you can probably even further reduce the cost to like 1,000 something. So think about running a ChatGPT or one alike capabilities in $1,000 hardware. A lot of people can do that now at home. So that's to us, one thing is like really now democratizing this, this is what I think it's democratizing the AI technology, because fundamentally you don't need that much resource anymore. So that's what Ryan mentioned. I'm also very curious about the earning of NVIDIA, see if there's any, impact there. And then on top of that is, what's your definition of developer in this case, Brief? Because to me, I think, especially with the agent capability and with all those tools, everybody can be a developer in the future. Everybody should be a developer. Like what Jensen Huang from NVIDIA mentioned, in the future, that there's not that many people will write code anymore. Everybody just interact with a computer via natural language rather than via code. So in that way, I think, I just envision a future of everybody can launch their own AI agents, launch their own AI solutions, and the agent can help build agents. The agent can help build the application. Everybody can deploy their applications as well.
So you're imagining a future where everybody can be a developer, which I've seen on some level already, just from my personal experience. When ChatGPT originally came out, I wanted to learn how to train it so that originally I formerly worked for Google Pool. I wanted to train it so that so people can just kind of query it for different questions. And so I went on ChatGPT and I asked it like, hey, how do I make this? And so ChatGPT outlined like every single step. And then I would just say like, hey, code this step. And then it would generate the code. Now this is early ChatGPT. So, the code didn't work very well, but this is like ChatGPT 1 or whatever, 2, whatever it released as. But it was really cool that it actually coded everything for me. And then not only that, it left comments too. So every single line of code, now I have this very detailed comment that I can read through. And I was actually learning how to code while this thing was coding for me. And this is original, just released ChatGPT. I haven't tried it again with ChatGPT 4.0. I'm going to assume that it's like way crazier now. But it gives credence to what you were saying earlier. She is, eventually, everyone's going to be able to code. If I have an idea for an application, then I simply employ the AI agent that can build that idea. And it's pretty much at that point we're an Iron Man. at that point. Jarvis, run analytics for this. Let me know if this is a real situation and if this could actually work. And I'm very, very excited for that future. But we're coming up at about the hour mark here. I do want to give you folks a little bit of space so that you could, if you have any sort of upcoming launches, partnerships, product announcements, anything kind of coming up, I want to give you a little bit of space for some closing remarks. I'm going to open it up to the Orbit team first. If you folks have any closing remarks, anything you want to shield to the people out there, this is your time, my friends.
All right, I guess Ryan's signaling that he wants me to leave my closing remarks. I think you've seen, at least in V1, a lot of stuff from us. You've seen us kind of go support a lot of different protocols, a lot of different chains, offer novel kind of like functionality with agents, like you'd said, kind of like, oh, swap this for this in natural language, and you have some dedicated agent that does some tool use to kind of make that happen. I think in V2, you start seeing really cool stuff where you have agents make informed decisions that operate within like some predetermined scope from the user over long like time horizons. So like, auto yield optimization, or like looking at some like DLMM or something like that, and then like moving liquidity across different bin structures there, and deploying like really interesting strategies. Like the market is kind of tanking, like there's still like ways people deploy strategies to make money, right? So I think that's kind of like the really exciting thing we're excited about. I think like portability is another big one. So like, how do you make this more accessible to people with phones? How do you offer like unique new modalities like voice? So I think you'll kind of continue to see this like proliferation of agents that abstract away any like blockchain or like protocol specific functionality. We want to meet the user where they're at, regardless of what they ask, and then kind of like double down on this like AI agent solver paradigm that we've been exploring. So high level, that's kind of like what you can expect from us in V2, which is coming soon.
Excellent, man. And one thing I want to highlight is I love this. Like, I love that we're starting to put blockchain more in the background instead of the foreground. I feel like blockchain used to be like the selling point for like every single product. Like, oh, it's with Web3, it's a blockchain. And I'm very, very happy that we have realized that it's not the selling point, it's the infrastructure behind the selling point. And we are slowly abstracting a layer of complications away, slowly but surely. I'm going to open it up to my friend Shi over here with KITE for any sort of closing remarks you may have as well. You got the floor, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So expecting our testnet V2 in a month or so. So we launched our testnet V1 about 2.5 weeks ago. Super exciting to see the excitement from the community. We actually got over like 2 million users and wallets and over 30 million API agent inference calls already from the community. So that shows that people indeed have the excitement about the future of AI, the future of AI economy. So
I think you froze.
all of those. Hello?
Yeah, no, okay,
oh my God. It's
you're good.
Am I back?
Yes.
Am I? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry, where did I drop? Oh my God.
You may just want to start over.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Basically, the
apologize,
beginning.
guys.
No problem.
Okay. I'm so sorry. So I want to, quickly share what we're going to do in the testnet V2 because we launched the testnet V1 about 2.5 weeks ago, and got a lot of excitement from the community, and also the AI developer groups. And so in V2, you guys will expect more agent partners and other like a subnet partners, like a data subnet, to be onboarded to us. So then there are going to be more. So Ryan, Chris, we should talk as well. I love what you guys are building with the agent side. So basically, we want to think about from a Web2 user perspective, or sorry, from an AI user perspective, that in the future you will see this dedicated AI layer 1 has a full of high quality of AI assets, including both agent models and data that people can use and people can monetize on top of. And some examples, we already onboarded like BitMine, since Chris mentioned the multimodal type of data and use cases. We have a partner who onboarded their deepfake detection models. That is really, more like the image detection model on top of us. And then later on, we're going to onboard the video detection model and agent on top of that as well. So please expecting the testnet V2, and feel free to join our testnet. We have already over 2 million users join us. So yeah.
That's absolutely excellent. I'm very, very happy that you've been seeing such a great response to the product that you've built, and love the fact that you folks are building for the future as well. Looking forward to the V2 of both of you. And to my audience, thank you folks so much for watching the stream and participating. We got some really, really good questions in, and we got some really, really good comments in. So I really, really appreciate you folks as well. I'm going to make sure that I tell you folks this as well. Please make sure you're following these lovely people up here as well. So you can, of course, follow AVAX at AVAX, you can follow KITE at KITE AI, and you can follow Orbit at Orbit Crypto AI. And just in case you don't know how to spell those things, bam, baby, right down there at the bottom, I got them scrolling for you. So please make sure you follow them. I'm going to give you a pro tip really, really quick. Come here, come close. Look, follow them and add the bell notifications, my friends. Bell notifications, because you want to make sure that you get a notification every single time these people post, my friends. They are building some absolutely amazing things, and you want to make sure that you can stay up to date with everything that they're building. I'm going to go ahead and end this thing in my usual way, friends, and that is by saying you don't have to go home, but you got to get up on out of here, y'all. Peace.
Cheers.
Waiting.